So there's always been this ongoing debate of whether it's better to own your own home or to rent. Now, in the long term, owning a home is by far the superior option. In fact, owning your home is one of the best predictors of your overall net worth. The average homeowner has a net worth of roughly $195,000, whereas the net worth of the average renter is only about $5,400. That's a pretty big difference. So in the long run, it's a no-brainer. You are definitely going to want to own your own home. But it's in the short term where things get a little bit more complicated. So that's what we're going to focus on today in this video, is the short term. Whether or not buying or renting a home is going to be the better option for you in the short term. So if you're new to the channel, the goal here is to help you earn more, spend less, and invest the difference. Now, if that sounds appealing to you, then be sure to hit the like button, subscribe. I have new content every week. So the first thing that you would want to consider on whether or not to buy or rent a home is going to be mobility. And this is especially important when you're on the younger side of things. Maybe you haven't gotten married and settled down yet. Maybe you're just starting out in your job, so you're working a job instead of an actual career. And this is important because when you own a home, you're pretty well anchored to that one location. And so that's going to limit you as far as trying to look for new jobs. Especially when you're first starting out, some of the best ways to climb the corporate ladder is actually not to work your way up through one particular company. Instead, more often than not, the best way to get a promotion is actually to apply for jobs at a different company in the higher position that you're looking for, as opposed to trying to work your way up through your current company. But this becomes increasingly hard to do if you are locked down into one geographic location, because that's where your home is. Oftentimes, just by keeping your options open and being able to relocate to a different city or a different state to accept a significantly better job is going to be your best option, at least when you're first starting out. By moving to a different location and taking a better job, you could potentially be making thousands or tens of thousands of dollars extra every year simply by taking that better job. And the next thing to consider is, realistically, how long do you think you're going to be at the location that you're currently at? Because whenever you buy and sell a home, there is significant costs associated with that. So when you're buying a home, you're going to have to pay for an inspection, an appraisal, you're going to have down payments, you're going to pay lender fees and points to the bank. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. And then if you're only there for a very short time, maybe only a couple of years, and then you turn around and sell it when you move, now you're once again paying additional costs when you sell. So you're going to be paying realtor fees, and that could be 5 or 6% of your total price. You might pay HOA transfer fees, there might be a state excise tax, there's going to be deed recording and deed prep fees. Like, there's just all kinds of fees involved with buying and selling a home. So the more often that you buy and sell a home because you're only at one particular location for a very short amount of time, the more these fees are going to eat into your pocketbook. And potentially they're only going to offset the profits that you made by the appreciation and the capital pay down of slowly paying down your mortgage. But these fees could potentially outpace all of that stuff if you're only there for a very short amount of time, where actually now you have lost money by owning this home for maybe a year or two. And the next thing to consider is, and this is not necessarily a financial issue, but buying and selling a home is super stressful. So when you buy a home, you are going in debt potentially several hundreds of thousands of dollars. And emotionally, that can be a big deal when you realize, oh crap, I am significantly in debt for the first time in my life. And then when you try to go and sell the property, now you're always worried, well, am I gonna get top dollar for my property? Am I gonna lose money on this deal? Is the deal gonna fall apart? Is the buyer gonna back out? Like, what's gonna happen? And so that puts a lot of pressure on you emotionally. And you're already probably moving to a different location. That's why you're selling the house to begin with. So there's already a lot of stress in your life. So now needing to worry about selling this home as well as looking for a place at your next location, sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming. So you want to go through this process realistically as few times as possible. And another thing to consider is when you're buying a home, there is a significant down payment that you're going to have to pay. Traditionally, banks like about a 20% down payment, which could be many thousands of dollars. Now, it's possible to get loans at a lower down payment, maybe as low as 3.5% with an FHA loan, but then you're paying private mortgage insurance and a few other things. But even at 3.5%, you're probably looking at a minimum of $7,000 for a $200,000 home and maybe $5,000 in closing costs. So you're going to pay about $12,000 up front in order to move into this house. Now, maybe you have $12,000 in the bank, but once you spend that $12,000, it's very important that you still have reserves available in a worst case situation. Because Murphy's Law states that bad things are going to happen, and they're pretty much always going to happen at the worst possible time. So what if you just spent all of your money, all this $12,000 on your down payment, and the next month your car breaks down, or the air conditioner breaks in your house and you have to get that fixed? Now, I personally like to invest in real estate. I've bought multiple properties, but the first 2 properties that I ever bought, in both cases, the air conditioner broke within the first 6 months. And so that was about an extra $5,000 expense in both cases that I wasn't planning on. So it's very important that you have additional reserves on top of all of this money for a down payment. So for that reason, sometimes renting is a lot easier because instead of this really high, down payment for your mortgage plus closing costs, maybe you only have to pay for first and last month's rent. So you might be looking at, $2,000 or $3,000 in order to move in. And so that's much more affordable and is going to allow you to keep that emergency reserve fund intact. And finally, renting has the additional benefit of being much more predictable. If your rent is $1,000 a month, then you're going to need $1,000 this month, $1,000 the next month, and $1,000 the month after that. But that's not always the case when you own your own home. Now, while it's true that your mortgage payment is going to be a nice flat amount each and every month, but now you also have all of the repair costs that are associated with owning a home. So what if one month the air conditioner breaks or the hot water heater breaks? What if you get a hailstorm that damages the roof? Now, in some of these cases, the insurance company may be able to step in and help you pay for some of this stuff, but regardless, you're still going to have to pay that deductible, which could be multiple thousands of dollars. And so it's these unexpected expenses, this unpredictable nature of owning your own home and the expenses associated with this that can be problematic when you're trying to balance your books. Because when you own your own home, you're going to need a significantly larger emergency fund in place than if you're just renting. Because when things break in your home, you got to get them fixed. But if you're renting and your air conditioner breaks, you just pick up the phone and call your landlord, and now it's your landlord's responsibility to fix the air conditioner. It's not coming out of your pocket if you're renting. So there you go, folks, just a few things to start thinking about as far as whether or not you should buy a home. Now, obviously, like we said, the longer that you own a home, the longer that you plan on living in one location, the better off you're going to be owning a home. And there's no clear-cut, defined timeline as far as when things magically switch from being more efficient from renting or buying or anything like that. But personally, I would suggest at least 5 years is what you should plan on living in a home if you're actually going to purchase it. So that's going to do it for us today, folks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a comment, consider subscribing, and as always, I'll see you all again next time. Thanks.